Board meeting. Today is Wednesday, the 21st. The time is 12 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation by Luis Pasan.
Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Let us pray. God, we come to you humbly asking for your guidance. In prayer, we ask that you listen to our unified voice so that the city's community and business affairs reach a beneficial outcome for all concerned. Remind us to keep an open mind and to always have a sense of community with a pro-business attitude in order to do right by all. We pray for this in your name. Amen.
Move on to roll call. Present.
Present.
Here.
Present.
Present.
Director of Operations, Fred Rowan.
Present.
Finance Director, Carla Saavedra. Present. City Attorney, Patricia Ricky.
Kristen Hossa.
Assistant City Attorney,
Present.
Chris Hinojosa.
Present.
Police Chief, Andy Harvey. In his place, Assistant Chief, Joel Flores. Joel Robles.
Present.
City Engineer, Omar Anzaldúa.
Like a motion to excuse Chairman.
So
Edgar
moved.
Delgadillo.
Make a motion to excuse.
A motion by Larry Hernandez, second by
Second it. I second it.
Mr. Campero. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Let's move on to item 2, Director's Administrative Report, Crossings and Revenues Report for June 2021.
Good afternoon, Vice Chairman, board members, city officials. For the record, Fred Rowan, Director of Operations at the Pharr Bridge. I'd like to present the crossings and revenues for the month of June, fiscal year 2020-2021. On page number 3, you have the report for car crossings. For the month of June, we crossed a total of cars of 32,009 cars, which represents an increase of 1,718 more cars, or an increase of 5.67%. Also, to give you the information on for the crossings from October to June, the total crossings of cars, we crossed a total of 380,405 vehicles, which represents an increase of 39,812 vehicles, or an increase of 11.72%. Also, I'd like to share with you the crossing from other ports of entry on cars. We have Gateway, Veterans, Free Trade, a combination of all 3 bridges, an increase of 67,071 cars, an increase of 46%. Eagle Pass, an increase of 28,781, an increase of 21%. Laredo Bridge, they show an increase of 46,607 more cars, an increase of 21%. McAllen Hidalgo, an increase of 32,916 cars, 29%. Anzalduas, an increase of 19,284, an increase of 49%. A combination of both bridges, an increase of 52,200 cars, which represents an increase of 34%. Progreso Bridge, they had an increase of 9,483, an increase of 30.73%. Donna Bridge, they had an increase of 11,899 cars, an increase of 59.57%. And the Pharr Bridge, again, an increase of 1,718 cars, which represents an increase of 5.67%. On page number 4, we have the truck crossings. These are trucks that are traveling from U.S. to Mexico through the Pharr Bridge. For the month of June, we crossed a total of 60,824 trucks, which represents an increase of 4,376 more trucks, or an increase of 7.75%. In the 9-month period from October to June, we crossed a total of 532,536 trucks, which represents an increase of 65,780 more trucks, or an increase of 14.9% for the month, total fiscal year October to June. Also, I'd like to share with you the truck crossings from other ports of entry. We have in Brownsville, Veteran Los Tomates, an increase of 2,081 more trucks, 13% increase. Free Trade Los Indios, a decrease of 683 trucks, a decrease of 31%. A combination of both bridges, an increase of 1,788, an increase of 9%. Eagle Pass, they had an increase of 3,045 more trucks, 22% increase. Laredo Bridge, they had an increase of 30,361 more trucks, 60% increase. Pharr Bridge, we had an increase of 4,376, an increase of 8%. Progreso Bridge, they had a decrease of 525 trucks, a decrease of 13%. And the Yan Salduas Bridge, they had an increase of 1,154, an increase of 94%. On page number 5, we have the northbound truck crossings. These are trucks that are traveling from Mexico to the U.S. through the Pharr Bridge. For the month of June, we crossed a total of 58,176 trucks, which represents an increase of 1,641, or an increase of 2.90%. On the agriculture side, the Pharr International Bridge total 17,638 crossings for the month of June, representing 30% of all the perishables that are coming from Mexico, through the Pharr Bridge, of all the crossings that are coming through the Pharr Bridge, 30%. As well, on the agriculture side, the Pharr International Bridge for import lot show an increase of 482 increase of trucks, or 2.87% over the month of fiscal year 2019-2020. On page number 6, we have the truck crossings and a combination of both southbound and northbound. These are trucks that are traveling from Mexico to the U.S., Mexico. We crossed a total of 119,000 trucks, which represents an increase of 6,017 more trucks, or an increase of 5.33%. These are southbound and northbound truck crossings. On page number 7, we have the revenues. Total revenue collected for the month of June, we collected a total of $1,389,202, which represents an increase of $175,487, or an increase of 14.46%. For the month of from October to June, on the 9-month period, we collected a total of $12,273,753, which represents an increase of $1,576,312, or an increase of 14.74%. Board Member Chairman, this concludes my report. If you have any questions.
Fred, one question on the car crossings. When did it come up that they only restricted the car travel or the pedestrian or
There is for non-essential travelers. We started last year in April.
in April?
Yes, sir.
So then that's
So-
why. So the numbers we're comparing is for already non-essential travel from June last year to this year, right?
Yes, sir. This is southbound only.
Uh-huh.
We're comparing June of 2020 from June of last year.
And do you have any idea how much it decreased, like in March?
In March,
Yeah,
it's right there. Let
from
me
March
see.
to April, because that's when it started, huh? So
March to April. March to
yeah,
April.
because when they just said they pushed it back to August 21st, no?
Yes,
For non-essential travel.
it was in April of last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we last year we lost. I think we were losing like 20,000 cars on a monthly basis, and all bridges on Salduas was losing up close to 50,000 cars per month. But now that the problems are,
Yeah.
there's people traveling to Mexico. There is an increase on the crossings, on cars.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Hopefully it'll increase in
Yeah,
August.
and the restriction will continue again until next month, until August 21st. Usually CBP will meet with CBP. They'll give us a notice a week before if they're going to open. So far, we're going to continue with the non-essential travelers coming from Mexico to the U.S.
Hopefully we prepare them with the toll booths, no, for that increased car traffic.
Yes, sir.
In August.
That is correct.
Thank you, Fred.
Thank
This
you.
is very
Same hours of
important.
operation, Fred?
Yes, sir. Same hours for non-essential travelers. We open southbound. You're traveling to Mexico through the Pharr Bridge. We open at 6 in the morning. We close at 12 midnight. For trucks, we open at 7 in the morning and we close at 11 p.m. This is southbound. Coming from Mexico to the U.S., for trucks, CBP opens at 7 in the morning and they close at 10 p.m. Monday to Friday for cars coming from Mexico to the US, we open at 6 in the morning. We close at 8 in the morning, 2 hours in the morning. And then we open again in the afternoon from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. On the weekends, the CBP opens coming from Mexico to the US. They open at 6 in the morning to 8 in the morning. They close 8 to 4. They reopen again at 4 p.m. and they close at 12 midnight. So it's 6 to 8 on the weekends, and then again 4 p.m. to 12 midnight.
Fred, one more question on the increase, the 5.33% on the trucks.
Uh-huh.
What, is it more the fuel or?
It's a little bit of
Maquila?
everything, maquila, fuel, produce as well. As
Okay.
you saw, the increase on the for perishables, we had an increase of 492 more trucks coming in from Mexico to the US. Even though it's not a produce season, we still have crossings coming in.
Right, okay.
Yes, sir.
Just one question. When you say full trucks, empty trucks, and trucks,
Yes, sir.
you mean a bobtail, like a truck, and or an empty
It's,
trailer, or
we-
loaded?
It's empty trucks. Out of those 58,000, we have 41,000 236 that are full trucks. Empty trucks, 16,940 are empty trucks coming in to pick up a load in the US, taking it back to, or they went and they drop off a load in Mexico, came back empty to the US.
Yeah, but-
Either or.
But do you charge them like
We charge the same. Either we charge the same toll. Either if they go empty to Mexico or they're full, we charge by axles.
No, I
Check by
understand, but like, do you know how many are the trucks coming on bobtail? Bobtail means without the trailer. That's what
I can give you the number we do have by axles.
I'm just wondering.
Yeah,
That's-
it's-
how you classified it. That's it.
Yeah, we do have classify them by axles, and if you want that information, I can provide you that information. Yes.
On the
No
ag
problem.
trucks, I think last month we were expecting a drop for June and it went up.
It went up. Yes.
So it still looks like there's, I mean, because these are numbers, 17,600 trucks. That's during the peak season,
Yes.
not the off season.
That is
So,
correct.
It's good when they come back without the trailer. That means like usually they're closed or they didn't get unloaded, and the guy has to come back and
Yeah.
and
I'm
then
gonna say,
but he sooner or later he's got to bring that US trailer back.
If you want, I can get you that information with CBP. I do not know if CBP classify by axles, but going into Mexico, we do classify them by axles. 2 axle, 3 axle, 4 axle, 5 axle, 6 axle. And I can provide you that information.
Oh, no,
No
thank you.
problem. Yes, sir. Thank you.
thank you. Questions? No, sir. Move on to the finance report for June 2021.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board, city administrators, for the record, we do have Carla Saavedra, Finance Director, and she'll be giving her brief report on the monthly financials.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. I just handed out those just so that you can have a printout in color, because just so that it's more colorful. So as I mentioned last meeting, this is just a very brief report, just catchier to the eye. Page number 1 gives a snapshot of the budget of revenues collected compared to last year at the same time, like as of June of last year, and compared to the budget, what we expected. So if you notice, budgeted, we expected to collect 10.5 million in toll revenue, and we're actually at $11.6 million, which is pretty good. And last year, we were at 10.1. So again, that little arrow up is what we want to see. So we are $1.5 million more in collections compared to last year. And expenses at the bottom, I'm just showing the total. In the page, in the following page, which is number 2, is where I give the breakdown of the budget so that you can see that the benchmark as of June, all the expenses are supposed to be 75% or less spent, and all the categories of the expenditures fall within. And at the bottom, Mr. Campero mentioned last time, I guess he wanted to see the total budget, and I just kind of like disclosed it there. The $14.4 million is the total annual budget for the bridge. And 4.7, it would be only the operating budget. So that's just for your for your information. And then the very last page, it's pretty much summarizing what Mr. Browen went over on the crossings. But this is just in graphs and colors. And again, we just want to see the arrow up. The trucks and cars, 13% year to date, southbound 14% up, northbound 11.4, and cars 11.72% compared to last year as of June. Is there anything else that you would want me to keep adding, since this is kind of like a new version of the report? Something that you want me to add, or that if you have any questions?
Do you have anything like budgeted for when the new bridge expansion is gonna be? Like, because but it's gonna be increased budget, no? Do you have anything like you're
Yes,
already looking at it?
Yes, we have projections already.
Because we have to make sure that we have the same percentage so that you can still keep making the
Absolutely.
same income, huh?
Yes, yes.
So we have to try to figure out a way to make it more efficient or for them to cross more so that it doesn't affect the
No,
budget of the
definitely.
city. Yeah.
Right now, we're in the budget process. We already had the meeting with Bridge, actually. On August 16, we'll be having a budget workshop, and the bridge is one of the subjects and one of the things that will be definitely on the top of the list to discuss. The expansion, of course, the operations, and what we need to add to the budget to
Yeah.
make it work.
Because I mean, I would like to maybe us do have a little powwow and see what we can do to help increase the revenue without you increasing just tolls. So because then it also kind of affects also the crossings. But I want to make it more efficient. I mean, or toll other things so you can have extra.
You want to
revenue.
increase the revenue and don't want to increase the toll fees?
The thing is, it's gotta be the same
Efficiency.
as the market across the
Yeah, I
whole
see what you-
borders.
yeah.
I want to also charge $1,000 in what I do, but the market doesn't pay that. So, but I mean, I'm just saying I want to see about because the land grant have to go up in productivity,
Mhm.
but not necessarily just cost.
Yeah. No, that's something that Luis and I and management are definitely working, because we want the bridge to keep, growing and growing, keep bringing us more revenues. Like
One of
100%
the,
here.
to add to what Beto had mentioned, I know we've discussed it in the past, but the proposed budgets, I know you all meet quite a bit, but I know in the private sector, it works very different, but we set a proposed budget and then reality happens once it's there. But just to kind of add to what he's saying, with the growth that's coming, there's going to be a need for additional staff, additional equipment, additional what have you, retention of market share. And I'm going to throw this one at Eddie as well, because it's so important to when we go into a budget workshop, and when I say we, I mean staff. We don't go into those meetings with city management. We have to let them know, Eddie, what the cost of retention of customer is, and what's the cost of when we actually lose that customer, that custom broker, that trucking company that decides to go elsewhere, right? Because if and when we come forward to exactly what he's saying, we have to have the value of what it is. Percentage wise, this helps a lot because I can punch in the numbers and okay, if we're at X amount in operating expense, but yet we're revenuing X amount, so is our percentage for the future the same, right? I know in previous years, the answer was, I don't know, but we're working with more transparency, so it's a lot clearer, right? So I think that would be my only little sand that I would like to kind of bring forth.
Yes, definitely. And then I guess I don't know when's the next meeting scheduled. By the time the bridge board meeting, it would be right after the workshop. So we can totally present, what was presented to the city commission and what's proposed for next fiscal year. And so that we can have your input also.
The revenue is, if my math is right, so we will end just shy of $2 million
Above, yes.
budget.
Correct.
Yeah, and it's not to pinpoint anything. It's just because I mean, if the other bridges are charging $23-25 a crossing, because it's not just it's another span. It's double the price. It's $50. No, it's going to be a big increase on everything. Huh? But I mean, it's trying to make it more efficient and compare what the other bridges charges, because the other bridges charge overweight fees, the other bridges charge over dimension fees, they charge over certain overtime fees. Like maybe there's other ways not just
Just to
double
throw
the
it.
tolls.
Yes, I understand.
I mean,
Yeah, no.
just wanna say that there's other ways that we can make it more efficient.
Definitely, we will look into it. Okay,
Questions?
anything else?
Comments? Good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carla.
Move on to item C for director's report.
Yes, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board and city administrators, for the record, Luis Bazan, Bridge Director. Just to kind of add a few more notes to what we were discussing previously. So if you go back to 2018, 2019, we started experiencing, we had to cut down on hours of operations for current regular vehicular traffic, or POV, as CBP calls it. And back then, we only had 2 hours in the morning. Then we actually increased due to petitions from the maquiladora industry and other sectors. So we increased the additional 2 hours. So even back then, we were already experiencing a decline in car traffic just because of the immigration crisis that was taking place back then, the queue that was actually set up at the middle of the bridge. So we were already experiencing that. And that's when we started talking about potentially this bridge could one day become completely full commercial. And that's, if you look at the numbers across the board, that's where this is going. Obviously, once we do the expansion, once we get all that going, we're increasing by 100% capacity. Once you have all your Dapp 15, all your Dapp 16 projects that Omar is going to be highlighting in a few minutes, you'll be able to see how that correlates to what we're talking about here. But at the end of the day, yes, I mean, there is a possibility there to increase tolls. We actually, when we meet with the city commission for the budget workshop, that's something that we prepare for months and months in advance. And that's been going on since, I believe, since May of this year. And once we meet with them, then they'll be able to highlight some of these issues and some of the things. What else can we do? Is there another business venture? Is there another revenue stream that we can add to what we're currently doing? So yes, to answer all the questions in very general terms, yes, we're looking at all these avenues and even more than what we might be bargaining for. We have some great ideas, and I believe the leadership is pointing us in the right direction. So we'll be able to come back to the board with some further news on these initiatives here in the near future. With that, I know one of the things we discussed last week or last month, actually, there was a lot of questions about the Overweight Corridor, a lot of questions about the permits and what the difference is between our Overweight Corridor and the Overweight Corridor in Cameron County. So for that, I did invite Pilar Rodriguez, who is our director for the Hidalgo County Regional Mobility Authority, and he's going to give you a brief summary of what's going on there with permits, and also talk a little bit about where we are on the IBTC, which is the project that's going to allow commercial traffic to go into I-2 and even beyond 2 into I-69. So Pilar.
Thank you, Chairman and members. Pilar Rodriguez, Hidalgo County Regional Mobility Authority. So one of the items under the purview of the authority is we were authorized by the legislature in 2013 to administer an overweight oversized permit corridor in Hidalgo County that encompasses only state on-system roadways. So if it's a TxDOT state highway or a farm to market road, that's the only place that the overweight corridor is applicable. We currently maintain 15 routes that go from downtown Weslaco down to the Progreso Bridge, across to the Pharr Bridge, over to the trade zone in McAllen, and across to the industrial park and Mission. We have 15 routes, encompasses approximately 50 miles of overweight corridor. The overweight corridor, it's actually an overweight and oversized corridor. So overweight is defined as anything over 80,000 pounds of gross vehicle weight. Oversized is defined as anything 8.5 feet in width or greater than 8.5 feet in width, 14 feet in height, and 59 feet in length. That defines oversized. The permit system has been in effect since January 1 of 2014. Through June of this year, over that period, we've issued over 206,000 permits. The permit fee is $200 a permit fee. It's a one-way trip. The permit's good for 24 hours. In that period, we've generated almost $33 million worth of revenue. The way the fee is structured, 85% of the fee has to go back to maintain the roadways. Only 15% of the fee, it's capped at administrative costs, and 85% of the fee has to go back into the network to maintain the roadway. One of the things is that the roadway is not designed for overweight trucks. So it really, overweight trucks accelerate the wear and tear on the roadway. And so those fees which at this point amount to about 27 million, have been put back into the system. And an example of that is Military Highway from Spur 600 or Cage Boulevard at the Pharr Bridge to the west that was reconstructed in concrete. That was paid for by the overweight fees. And so that's what TxDOT is doing with those funds, is they're upgrading the local networks so that they can sustain the heavy truck traffic that we experience. Last year, even though in the midst of the pandemic, we saw a 7% increase in the number of permits that were issued. This year, we're on track to see a 10% increase in the number of permits that were issued. And so during the slow times of the year, which are the winter months, we issue about 300 permits a week. Right now, that's kind of our peak season. We're issuing over 1,000 permits a week. So the permits have been, the last 2 years have grown steadily. And on an average year, it generates $7 million of revenue. And again, 85% of that goes back into the system.
7 million annual.
7 million annually in revenues. And like I said, 85% of the fee has to go back by law into maintenance of the network.
And
So
they fill out this application online, right?
Yes.
On the website of Texas DOT, or no?
no, sir, it's actually, the link is on the authority's website, hcrma.net. It's an automated system, so you don't have to come in and see anybody. The permits can be applied for online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it's a very simple permit application process. The way our system is designed is that once you put your truck and your trailer in the system, you're set up as a vendor, you put your truck and trailer in the system. The first time the system retains that information. So anytime you got to go apply for a permit, you can pick the tractor and trailer combination that you want. And so as you build your database for your fleet, it gets a lot easier to apply for permits. So,
It's $200 for 24 hours?
24-hour one-way trip. Yes, sir.
One-way trip. And then the ones that usually are filling this out are like the belly dumps, no? Or who?
Yeah, so we see the number one commodity we're seeing is produce.
Produce.
That are applying for overweight permits. And they average about 10,000 pounds over the 80. So we see them at about 90,000 pounds, anywhere between 90 and 95,000 pounds is what they're coming in overweight. So 10 to 15,000 pounds overweight is what we're seeing, the average for trucks. We've had a few at about 105,000 pounds. You see some in the mid to low 80s or mid to high 80s. It's not restricted to any particular commodity. If it's legal by DOT to transport over the road, then you can apply for an overweight permit on it. The maximum weight you can ask for on an overweight permit is 125,000 pounds. We've never seen anything close to that. So.
How do you calculate it? Because that's the total weight of the truck, trailer, and everything.
Right. So it's calculated by the axles, and then so basically what you got to do is your axle spacing dictates the axle capacity plus the axle spacing dictates the capacity of the truck. And so your spacing has to be correct, particularly on the trailer. And then they're required to be weighed on a certified scale to certify the weight. And then that's basically it. You put in your spacing. And the system's pretty straightforward as far as calculating that.
Similar to the state permit?
So very similar. It's actually
what's
modeled.
the difference in the usage for the state permit and?
There's no difference. It's calculated the same way because by law we have to calculate it the same way. So
is it like if you're in the Hidalgo County region, you can fill out that application, get that permit,
right? And
then the state permits if you live farther in Hidalgo County.
Correct. That's correct. There's a couple of other overweight corridors in the state. It's only a handful of them. Hidalgo County, Cameron County, Freeport has one, and there's one more, and I think maybe it's Webb County that has. So there's only a handful of overweight corridor permitting systems aside from the state system in the state.
Okay, I didn't know that, but
Yeah.
I mean, there's and the produce they're coming from out of the bridge to their warehouse, no?
Yes, yes. Most of them are coming for redistribution. So they bring them in overweight and they take them to the warehouse and then they redistribute them for whether it's interstate or intrastate, wherever the commodity is going.
Because regularly you're gonna need to load 45,000 pounds in a trailer, right? Correct?
Well, it depends on the trailer,
On the axle.
yeah, the capacity of the
But
trailer.
it's sort of like, that's like the norm. But like, you're saying that you can put another 20,000 pounds on it?
Legally, you can go up to 125,000 pounds over the legal weight in Texas is 80,000 pounds gross vehicle
Of
weight,
the whole
The whole
truck
thing.
and trailer area?
trailer and everything.
So
plus-
then you're saying you can put 40,000 pounds more
yeah,
on a trailer?
if the trailer is rated for that capacity.
Yeah,
So
I
you're
know.
talking about a multi-axle trailer that
Yeah.
has more than 2 axles
So
on
you're
it.
gonna put like almost double the weight? Like it's
Yeah.
45,000 pounds
Yes.
cargo, you're gonna put
Yeah.
80,000 pounds cargo?
Yeah,
We, for example, like on produce, on certain items, certain commodities, we'll go 30 all the way to the door,
Mm.
depending on the weight and
You'll go what,
48
30 what?
footer, 30 pallets, 48
Oh.
footer or 53 footer.
Yeah.
And we come heavy, but the trucks are already registered. There's some that already have the permit, annual permit
Right.
with them, and the ones that don't, and maybe you can walk us through it because we always get this question. As the trucks come into Reynosa, like some of them go to either, there's 2 scales right outside the port on the Mexico side. They get there, they pay for their permit, and everything's done there by the certified scale
Right.
house, correct?
Right.
And
So
they just give it to the
to the
driver.
driver.
Driver shows up. and
So we
gives it
have the
across.
ability for brokers to apply for permits, not just the whoever's producing the commodity and loading and shipping. You can have a broker, like let's say a truck gets to the border and it's overweight. They get on the scale and it's overweight. A lot of those have the ability to, because they're registered in our system, they can apply for a permit right there, pay for it, give it to the driver, and he can continue to cross. And if he's inspected by DPS, he's legal because he's got his overweight permit.
So your customers are the actual scale houses, or is it the Mexican customer?
We have the combination of both.
You do?
Yeah,
Okay.
we have.
Because
we
for
have-
example, I use the Mexican customer broker. He pays for it.
Yeah.
That way he already has an account
Yeah,
set up.
so we
with
have
you
the
guys.
scale houses, we have independent brokers that are independent of the scale, and then we have the individual trucking companies, and then we have even whoever's producing the commodity. So we have all the different combinations, so.
That's great.
And because it's web-based, as long as you have internet, you got a PC, internet, and a printer, that's all you need to apply and have a permit to give to your drivers. So
Pilar, so you're overseeing $84 million annual revenue with HCRMA.
just on this, 7 million, yeah.
7 million annual or
Yes.
monthly?
So
I
annual,
misunderstood.
it's annual. revenue,
Annually. Okay,
annual
got
revenue.
it.
You know, I didn't know that. And I'm sure a lot of people don't know that because right now, like before, when I get overweight at the bridge, we just unload 3 skids and bring it like that so they won't get fined. And then I tell the client, bring it to the warehouse and then I'll put up another trailer. So I didn't know you can pay 200 and it can go direct.
Yes, you can go direct, and like I said, anybody can apply for the permit. You don't, like I said, the beauty of the permit is it's accessible 24/7, 365. So you're gonna ship something, 6 o'clock Sunday night, you can apply for a permit. There's no having to wait till Monday morning, 8 o'clock or anything like that. It's totally accessible.
The only downfall, and just kind of want to give you some ammo, so in case we get some of pushback on this, is it's not that people don't want to pay. For example, like he hadn't heard of this. It took me a while to learn about it, but a lot of times it's the Mexican custom broker that doesn't want to pay for it.
Right.
So the importer will say, "Hey, custom broker, go ahead and pay for it," but he doesn't want to float the $200 because then he'll just attach it to the invoice, and the importer will take 30 days, but he wants to get paid right away.
Right.
So to avoid it, then they'll do that. What Beto said, they'll just unload 3 pallets and let's cross it like that. But it's creates inefficiency.
I don't think it's that much that, Tony. The thing is, you have the DOT on the U.S. Customs side checking the weight.
Right.
So the guys know that they can't go overweight. But on the southbound, we don't have a scale seeing what's going south. And that's Bridgestone revenue. They should be in 2 trucks instead of 1 or pay the overweight fee.
Right. When we've met with TIPA, because most of or a good chunk of them is produce.
Right.
That's the biggest drawback we get. They don't want to pay for it. So it's either you need it and you pay for it, or you don't, and
Bring it back, bring it across legal.
But the custom brokers, unfortunately, because the custom brokers are having to float import fees. Sometimes there's duties, sometimes there's association fees, various membership fees. And now the importers are asking the custom brokers to float now an additional $200 per load. And then if it's intensivo, I mean, it starts adding up, right?
So, so what the authority did is we commissioned a study to look at the benefit cost. You know, what's the benefit for bringing a truck overweight? And I'd be happy to forward that study to Luis so he can share with the board. But the benefit that we were calculating, and the study is a couple of years old already, so it probably needs to be updated. But depending on the commodity and the weight and everything, on the low side, it saved about $600 a load in cost, and on the high side, about $1,200 a load in cost for that $200 permit that was applied for.
It's huge.
Because basically every 2 trucks you bring across overweight, you save having to bring one truck.
It's huge.
So it's a huge benefit.
But was it a savings and it's paying in reality the wear and tear on the road?
That's correct.
Yeah, and then usually if you're not weighing it, there's no urgent need to get the permit. Yeah, but since the DOT is checking, that's when they're doing.
Right. And because you know, it's very easy to obtain the permit. You know, typically what happens is when a truck comes across overweight, DOT or DPS catches them, they send them on back. Because the permit system's automated, you know, it's pretty easy to get a permit and come on back through without having to have it sit in the yard for a day or two to figure out what you're going to do with it. And because you know, commodities, I mean, produce is especially sensitive to time. You know, we know the sooner it gets to market, the better price point the you can get. And so time is really of the essence with produce to get it, you know, to wherever it's going. And so that the permit system allows them to get that pretty quickly and get across. And the other thing with the permit system is that you can actually schedule your commodities ahead of time. So you can actually put a delay on it. Say, I'm going to apply for this permit today, but I don't want to activate it for a week at 5 o'clock a week from now when that load is scheduled to go across. And so you know, it's got some flexibility. So you can take care of things ahead of time.
Pilar, and the cargo coming from Seaport, Brownsville, I know we have a new system at our port as the trucks are going southbound. Are they having to pay 2 tolls or is it 1 toll together?
I believe theirs is a one-way trip also, and the number 1 commodity over there, I believe, is steel.
Yeah.
That's being brought across the port there, and they only have 1 route.
Okay.
So their route is just point A to point B, and that's it.
Right, but which is Port Brownsville, and they come through here and go south.
Right.
Just go to Brownsville.
So they pay, right, but there's some
own
cargo.
road, yeah.
But there is some cargo, right, guys, that's coming from,
No, it can't come through here.
I think,
Yeah, and overweight, it doesn't. So that's one of the issues we have is that our route is pretty close to the Hidalgo County line. We're at Progreso at 1015. Cameron County is nowhere near to providing connectivity between the two. We've discussed it with them that some of the interested parties would like to see that connectivity between the 2 bridges. We're pretty close. We'd only have to extend our corridor a couple of miles, but Cameron County has the long haul to make it connect.
The thing is, they don't want to. No le conviene. Why did I build that overweight corridor and send you the bridge
Just
over
right
there?
there,
No,
yeah.
to my bridge. And the Americans are all no to the U.S. side because I don't want it to be robbed on the Mexican side because that area is very very unsecure.
Yeah.
So it's a catch-22. Well,
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we need the scale going south.
So if there's no other questions, I can give you a brief report on the IBTC.
Sure.
IBTC is the International Bridge Trade Corridor Project. That's the project to connect the Pharr Port of Entry to the Donna and Progreso Port of Entry, and then up to Interstate 2. We're on the tail end of the environmental clearance document right now. And so we've done some, we'll probably have it environmentally cleared probably this fall. We should be having our public hearing in September. So in a couple months, and then after that, we can submit for our final decision for, this is an EA, an environmental assessment. It's kind of the middle of the road environmental clearance. At this point, we have about $12.5 million secured to start buying right away. The authority has already done some early acquisition. We've spent about $8 million in early acquisition, buying some key pieces of land where there was the potential for a big cold storage warehouse to go into the middle of the footprint. And so we were able to work it out with the developer and acquire that land. So we've done about $8 million of early acquisition. We've got about 12.5 million lined up in funding. And we need to do about $35 million worth of acquisition for that project. It is non-tolled. It is non-tolled, so it will not be tolled like the 365 tollway. We've requested that the Texas Department of Transportation take it on system. And so they've indicated to us that they will probably be taking it on system. And this will probably be, if I had to guess, probably an extension of State Highway 68, which is the roadway that's being developed north of Interstate 2 back to 490 in the vicinity of the Edinburgh Airport. And so that's kind of the eastern quadrant, north quadrant of the loop. And so 365 tollway, we're scheduled to go out to bids in 2 weeks. We received $27 million in gap funding from the Texas Department of Transportation. That's a $258 million construction project, and it's about $350 million with total development costs. 12.2 miles of expressway type facility, and IBTC will also be an expressway type facility. On ramps, off ramps, overpasses. The only difference is be non-tolled. And that's where we're at. 365 is a 42-month construction schedule. IBTC is similar, probably be a little close to 40 months, and it's scheduled to go to construction in 2025.
Wow.
4 years.
That's great. Yeah, let's see it. Any questions?
Okay, thank you. And IBTC is $180 million construction cost. So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pilar. Yes, just a little bit further on that, and just for the trade community in general, we do have a program called Bridge Connect, and we have this on a monthly basis. As a matter of fact, when the pandemic hit, we started doing it on a weekly basis as a live streaming program. And in this program, we do cover a lot of these issues. And we've actually ramped up the whole deal with the HCRMA and the Overweight Corridor and talking about permits. And we have that at least twice a year. So just for the general public and for the trade community, if you haven't signed up, if you're not on our network yet, I would highly recommend to get on board, because this is where we bring these issues to the table, and this is where we have full discussions with a panel of speakers and our experts like Pilar to discuss these issues and answer questions as well. And you're able to submit your questions online. So just highly recommend that. The next item, one of the things that we've been working on under my director's report is in Mexico. So as we've talked about in the past, we've had this program, or this project that we've been pushing for about 7 years now. This is the access corridor to the aduana. It's now under construction. It's being constructed by Coconal. And for that, I brought Ezequiel Ordóñez to give you a brief update and construction update on how that's going. This is a project that's obviously, to us, the way we look at it in talks with the federal government in Mexico, this is the kickoff to our bridge expansion. So this is basically the guarantee that our bridge expansion project is coming, and it's the same construction company that's doing it. So, Ezequiel.
Buenas tardes, miembros del Consejo,
Buenas tardes.
City Manager y directivos del puente. Para el récord, mi nombre es Ezequiel Ordóñez, enlace en México, de la ciudad y del puente. Me permito reportarles lo siguiente del proyecto, del avance que en México se llama la modernización del acceso a la aduana mexicana. Bueno, nada más me voy a ir en breve y les voy a platicar un poco el antecedente. Hace 7 años, como comentaba Luis, empezamos haciendo lobbying. Por diferentes cambios federales y estatales, se modificaron los proyectos porque fueron incrementando de unos muy pequeños, luego otros más grandes, se fueron a 3 fases y actualmente ahorita con los cambios de gobierno, tanto estatales, federales y hasta concesionarios, hemos llegado a una meta para arrancar este proyecto que, de acuerdo con el gobierno federal, se realizará también el segundo cuerpo, ¿verdad? Ya autorizado. Nos dan el fallo de este proyecto del acceso a la aduana. En diciembre del 2020, la Secretaría de Comunicaciones y Transportes hacía obras, en el cual, en este documento que pues tengo aquí, digo, la verdad es que se los puedo compartir, pero es un documento realmente pues de la ciudad o del puente, donde dice que arrancan los proyectos del lado mexicano del que estuvimos buscando durante 7 años. Esta es una rehabilitación del pavimento o de la carretera existente, la están rehaciendo para hacer lo que es los segundos cuerpos del acceso a la aduana. Todavía no vamos en el puente, en lo que es el segundo cuerpo, ¿verdad? Pero este proyecto, al autorizarse en diciembre del 2020, se atrasó un poco por el cambio de concesionario. Antes era Capufe, actualmente es Coconal, que es la constructora, es la compañía constructora nacional. Eso significa Coconal. Ellos ganaron la licitación de un paquete noreste desde la autopista Monterrey-Reynosa, el puerto de Pharr, el Libramiento 2 Sur y también el Puente de los Indios. Sin embargo, Coconal, junto con Banobras, ellos están arrancando este proyecto que están viendo ahorita, que realmente son 2.2 kilómetros desde la carretera a Matamoros, y lo están arrancando o iniciando en junio, actualizado en junio y termina en septiembre del 2021, para arrancar el proyecto del segundo cuerpo junto con nosotros aproximadamente a inicio del año 2022. Estas son un poco de las tomas. Cómo van avanzando. Realmente tienen todo el equipo. Ellos son concesionarios o son dueños o fabricantes o constructores de las autopistas dentro de la Ciudad de México y dentro de México hacia abajo, lo que son autopistas hacia Acapulco, hacia Veracruz. Entonces está en toda como quien dice, está en todo lo que es para construcción, para hacerlo rápido, ¿verdad? De los dragones, el cemento, están usando el 30 centímetros para los camiones para que dure por lo menos unos 20 o 30 años para volver a hacer una rehabilitación. Si se dan cuenta, estos han sido todos los reportes que hemos recibido desde junio hasta la actualidad de lo que está sucediendo con nosotros. Realmente ahorita les puedo decir que los usuarios o los stakeholders, tenemos un grupo junto con la ciudad de Pharr, con el puente, para estar coordinando junto con el gobierno federal, junto con Coconal, junto a los usuarios de Canacar, Index, agentes aduanales, para que haya un desplazamiento rápido y no se detenga el comercio exterior ni de importación. Digo, si lo pueden ver, es más fácil verlo que yo se los platique, ¿verdad? Entonces, eso es lo que está sucediendo ahorita en el lado mexicano, del cual pues arrancamos este proyecto que teníamos 7 años, y esto es lo que nos da la pausa para arrancar el proyecto del segundo cuerpo. ¿Alguna duda? Estoy para servirles. Por eso no me quería extender mucho, ¿verdad?
And I guess to wrap up or to make a quick comment, I mean, estos proyectos, ahí está el futuro. Desafortunadamente, I mean, these are going to be growing pains because there's construction.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that is the future of what's happened. We felt a little bit when Mexico did the expansion, but now we're reaping the benefits, right? So there's going to be a lot of positives coming out of this, and.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Mira, Ezequiel, te iba a preguntar, en Laredo tienen como cámaras del lado mexicano donde ya están viendo las distancias del puente donde pueden reportar. Ahorita lo vemos porque choferes están así, mira, hasta está la fila aquí. No se puede ir viendo de que de una vez vayas dando preparación de cámaras para que tú tengas visibilidad hasta la fila hasta allá.
Bueno, realmente,
sensores,
perdón que te interrumpa, pero realmente ya las tenemos instaladas en un parador que se ve ahí, mira, y tenemos de todas maneras en ambos lados. Realmente lo tenemos desde hace 2, 3 años, ¿verdad? Más tiempo, y el servicio que lo tenemos en los teléfonos para estar previniendo junto con lo que son los transportistas y los agentes aduanales para poder dar más agilidad. Ahora estamos haciendo lo que es un historial o un de la construcción, ¿verdad? Cómo están construyendo y cómo vamos a ir avanzando, porque pensamos que en vez de septiembre se vaya antes, a finales de agosto. Eso es lo que pensamos por todo lo que están usando, ¿verdad? Y con las cámaras sí estamos grabando estamos volando drones de aquel lado casi 2 veces al mes para hacer todo el historial. Las cámaras, pues sí, yo creo que el director, es más fácil que les pueda dar una explicación porque ya existen, ¿verdad?
Sí, pues nomás quería estar seguro que si ahorita están preparando, construyendo, que si están viendo eso, ¿verdad? Para que ya puedan dar porque para anunciar los tiempos de cruce formalmente, como...
Sí,
como-
yo pienso que sí lo tenemos y él puede darles la respuesta.
Sí, básicamente no es una cámara que mide el tiempo, así como lo especifica el señor Campero, pero son cámaras que vigilan toda el área y que se pueden, enfocar en ciertas áreas para ver cuál es la problemática y verlo. Pero son pláticas que hemos estado teniendo. De hecho, hay nueva tecnología del lado de Estados Unidos también. Es un problema que pues existen muchos apps, existen muchas maneras de medir los tiempos de espera, pero no hay un solo, como dicen, across the board. There's no universal way to measure wait times. So I know that through different trade associations, different trade organizations, we've been having these discussions like with the Border Trade Alliance, with NASCO. These are conversations we've had with CBP at the national level to ensure that all these border crossings are using the same technology going forward. Now, as far as we're concerned, that project of that camera project that we've had for more than 5 years, that comes to a close at the end of this year. And the idea is to basically have the city run that operation, to have surveillance there with cameras. It might not measure wait times, but that's something we can definitely look at. We've already sat down with IT, with our own IT department, to see if we can do a point-to-point from our bridge to theirs to figure it out. If not, we're going to have to probably run fiber or get a company in Mexico, as we did previously, to run the Wi-Fi operation over there for the cameras. But it is something that we're looking at. It is something that needs to be desperately done because, again, there is no effective or one right way across the board to measure wait times.
No, thank you. I just wanted to know
that's what
that,
you wanted
because if they're right now turning up the street and all that, because you can take advantage of making sure that they put that in there, or having a way that you can monitor it, right?
And with that, I mean, we'll be happy to bring it up to Coconal as well. Te lo podemos mencionar a Coconal.
El próximo mes.
Because right now they're putting all the drivers with the ID badges with chips. Like, you can put the sensors underneath the things and see what the driver crosses at certain points of crossing and things like that.
And I know that the agentes aduanales de Reynosa, they have specific personnel or specific departments that do measure wait times, and everyone measures it differently. So some of them are landmarks, some of them are, as you know, some of them are actually done through a system. But it has to be one unified way to do things, because sometimes the wait times do vary, and they can go from 10 minutes to 15 to up to 30 minutes or even longer, right?
Okay.
So yeah, we'll bring it up to Coconal. We'll be working with Coconal for a long time. So
No, thank you. There you go.
Sí, la próxima sesión podemos invitarlos a ellos, al director general, y pues tenemos una cita en México, de todas maneras con uno de los dueños y el director operativo de Coconal, para visitarlos en conjunto con Banobras, que son los dueños de este acceso, ¿verdad? Cualquier duda, digo, estoy pasando.
Pero el hecho que ya anunciaron que quizás para agosto acaban, finales de agosto, es excelente noticia.
Sí, va muy rápido y la verdad es que es día a día y todos los días están trayendo más personal, más seguridad. El gobierno federal está allá adentro para que haya un libre acceso hacia el puente o hacia la aduana. Estamos rehabilitando unas áreas por los parques industriales. Los parques industriales son privados y son del municipio, entonces tenemos también que integrar también a lo que son desarrollo económico, obras públicas, trabajadores, y señalizaciones nuevas, porque diario cambia esto, ¿verdad? Ok.
No.
Cualquier duda.
Muchas gracias, Ezequiel, y gracias por todo el esfuerzo ahí.
Sí,
muchas gracias, Ezequiel. And just the last thing that I have on my direct report is just, again, Bridge Connect. We do have an upcoming session on July the 29th, the Food Safety Modernization Act. This is something that, again, the way we go about doing these Bridge Connects, it comes from the petitions from the trade. So Freddie's going to give you a quick update on what's going on with this one for the 29th.
Good afternoon. For the record, Freddie Flores. Yes, we've been requested to have a foreign supplier verification program at Fxvp with FDA. Silvia Gatan out of Dallas. She'll be presenting online and also in person. So please, you have importers that you guys are hauling freight for importers, or you guys have customers from Mexico, have them, register. It's free, and we would like for you guys to attend as well.
And it's important to note also that this is our second program that we do in person. Again, throughout the pandemic, we had been doing them just completely live stream. At our first one, which was last month, I think we had a total of about 25 people that were actually in person at the bridge facilities. Now that our bridge facilities have grown and we have the space, we're able to accommodate that. Obviously, we are still taking social distancing into consideration. So we will continue to do that, but you have about space for about 20 to 25 people to be in there comfortably. So whoever needs to attend this and wishes to attend this, we highly encourage you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's my director's report.
Move on to item D, engineer's report.
Yes, Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board, city administrators, we do have Omar Saldúa, city engineer, for the record, to give you a quick update on what's going on with all our projects.
Yes, we have a few projects we'll just go over pretty quick. If we can just scroll through the slides here. Which are essentially the main two is the bridge facility expansion, phase 2. That's the bridge offices, and then the FY15 Dapp. As far as phase 2, we're essentially substantially complete on that project. We did build the, that parking lot in the back and that detention pond. We are adding some other amenities, a second roll-off bin area for the trash. We're looking to add some more concrete, improve that area in the back. And that was approved via change order, so we should be wrapping that up. I know, Luis, anything you want to add on this project on the phase 2? Admin, I think we should be wrapping this project up pretty quick, and then I think we're looking at doing a phase 3 on that. That'll be a future project. Next, next slide. And this is the FY15 Dapp. This is the main project where we're adding the 2 new lanes. And you can see we're at about 53% complete on the time. And then on the place to date, it's about 35. So they're a little bit behind. This month of July has been pretty bad with rain. They've been only limited to about 1 pour a week on the concrete. And usually they get about 3 pours a week, but you can see how that outer lane is starting to take shape. We can continue to the next slide. And that's just kind of the overall of the project. And then we should have some aerial footage of kind of where we're at. And then next slide. And there might be a video, so yeah, you can kind of see what we're doing there. And right now they're working on that super wide lane, the one that's going to kind of cut across north. We should be starting to pave that in the next couple of weeks, but you can kind of get the overall where we're at with where the booths, the 2 new booths are. Yeah, you can see the one kind of going north where that's where the super wide lane is going to be. And so you can kind of see all the concrete that's been poured on those outer lanes. And so the estimated completion date on this is first quarter of next year, looking at March, anywhere between March and May of next year of 2022. And then that leads me to FY16. That's the cold inspection, dry dock, and ag lab. That's the next project that's going to be coming right after this project is complete. And that's estimated at about $30 million. And we're essentially 100% complete on the plan. So essentially we're shovel ready to go. As soon as this project is complete, we'll kick in on FY16. Truck staging, that's the parking, the truck staging area. We're looking at about 250 spaces. We're in the environmental clearance process on that. We should be environmentally cleared here in the next month or so. It's a categorically exclusion, a CE, so it's not one of those major environmental reports. So we should be good with that. And then hopefully we can start finalizing those plans as well. And then lastly, it's the twin span bridge. We're looking to start the phase 4, the final design, which is the final leg of the project. We got the presidential permit. We did all the preliminary studies, hydraulic studies. We're doing the environmental clearance. And we're about to, probably next month, go to City Commission to authorize us to go for final design. And we're looking to complete the final design here in the next 6 months, and then go out for bids early next year or early to mid next year, depending on where, things go with TxDOT and all the review process, and start construction on that second span by second quarter of next year. So that's kind of the timeline where we're at.
Perfect.
And if you
Thank
want to
you,
add
Omar.
anything,
Any
Luis?
questions?
No, thank you, Matt. I think you nailed everything. Yeah, if I could just add something, again, just to the trade community and the general public at large, is the fact that, these projects take time. It's unfortunate that everything has to be done all at once, right? Everything's happening at once. But these projects, with the Dapp program, for example, we started that back in 2014. That was the planning side of things. It took 5 years just to get us to groundbreaking on that. So these projects do take a lot of time because there's a lot of players involved. There's a lot of different agencies. There's 2 federal agencies on our port, for example. There's GSA, there's CBP. So things sometimes don't go necessarily as we would wish it would go, and speed up the process, even though that's what we're about. We're about speeding up the process and being more efficient. But sometimes, unfortunately, because there's the government involved, it doesn't go that way. So I just want to let everybody know that these projects are coming. We've been pushing for a long time, and it's going to happen. And it's not just the fact that we have projects inside the port, which at some point, some people might have called those patchwork, but they're not. At the end of the day, they're going to alleviate congestion. They're going to eliminate wait times, not just reduce wait times, but we're going to start eliminating wait times once we get all these projects. Because as I mentioned earlier, once you have your bridge expansion, once you have what's happening in Mexico, you already have the aduana, and then you have your IBTC, and you have your outer roads, and any other services you add to this bridge system. It's more than 100% capacity, to be quite honest with you. So we're very excited, and we want to thank everybody that's been participating in this, and everybody that's supported these projects throughout all these years. It's been a challenge, but we're getting through it.
That's great. That concludes the Director's Administrative report.
Correct.
We'll go on to item 3, administrative. Need a motion for approval of minutes for June 16, 2021. Motion by Mr. Flores, second by Mr. Campero. Good, Larry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Move on to item B, discussion of action on Index Reynosa Fundación Ramac Charity Golf Tournament sponsorship for $6,000.
Yes, sir. Mr. Vice Chairman, members of the board, city administrators. If you recall, a few months ago, we brought in Index, or the folks that represent Ramac, the foundation of Index, and we discussed this about having their annual golf tournament in Pharr. Well, we're finally there. We're finally there, and we have Daryl Renfro here, who was with us here a few months ago, and we also have Mike Myers representing Index on the board. And if you'd like, they can come in and give you a few words about this. But this is something that back then we said we'll be sponsoring your event as long as we bring the event to Pharr. It's contingent upon bringing the event to Pharr. They want to be in it for the long run, for the next 5 years. Now we are going to be rebuilding, I believe, our golf course. But in the meantime, I don't know if you would like to say a few words, Mike, just real quick, and give more details on what it's about. Not specifics, just a little bit more details on what it's about and what the monies go to.
Thank you. It's an honor to be with you guys. My name is Mike Myers.
Good afternoon.
I'm a factory manager over in Reynosa. First and foremost, it's really exciting to be here, and it's an honor to be in front of you guys. I'm one of the user folks that we send trucks back and forth every day, and it's exciting to hear you guys talking about lowering wait times and expanding the bridge. And because I will tell you, before we get into this, business is booming. I can't hire people fast enough. I can't work enough hours. I'm not sure how long this can continue going on, but it's going on. We're setting record numbers in Reynosa every month of hiring folks, putting people on. So it was music to our ears when we heard you guys are doubling the bridge size, and it's fantastic. And I applaud you all. Thank you so much for that. I've been on that was for my paying job as a factory manager. I've been on the board of Index Reynosa for 13 or 14 years. I've been down in the valley 15 or 16 years. And actually, thanks for Daryl for coming and representing me a couple months ago. When we first got down here, I was replacing my right knee at the time. That's back in business, and I'm getting ready to do my left knee next Tuesday. So any prayers my way will be great. Thanks.
Absolutely.
But we, Index Reynosa is in our local Maquila Association. When we first got on the board many years ago and was president, it was amazing the amount of people that needed help. And as a local association, we just have our member dues, and it was hard to find out recourses to be able to help people to come in Reynosa or in the Valley. Well, we had a golf tournament, and we've been having that for many years, and you guys have been actually sponsors for it in the past, and it's grown and grown and grown, and we grew to the point so much that we started paying. The biggest check I was writing was to SAT, because we were donating way above what a nonprofit organization could do. So SAT actually, which is Mexican IRS, helped us form a foundation. And that's what I've been able to do the last couple of years. And we kind of been steering our local Maquila Association for social responsibility. And it's something that's, again, we started doing this before it was cool. Now it's cool, and a lot of people are doing that, but we got involved and got to create our foundation, and we were able to get more money to hit the road. Thanks to Luis and Freddie, and Mike at the golf course, they've been working their tails off. You guys had a great golf course. I'm a golfer, so I play all over the different places. You guys got a great golf course, and I'm excited to say this year we're going to be moving our tournament October 2nd. I hope to see you guys out there. We'd like to have a team of you guys come join us. And it's where the Maquila industry gets together, has fun. We bring in all our association comes out, industry, government, friends, vendors. We come in, we have a good time. We have a golf course. We try and bring the actual people who we're going to donate the things to, the different little Casa de Hogares, the different NPOs. We'll actually have them on the golf course. And my idea for that is, instead of just making a donation once a year, I want you guys to come out there and fall in love with them like I did many years ago. And you'll see these little mom and pop organizations that Winter Texans support, and that's what they live off of. So when we make a donation, it's life-changing to them. I know you guys have been out there. Some of y'all went out there and you've seen the little blind kids sing from Ojos de Esperanza. They're a group that comes out there, and it's just very heartwarming. And so thanks for being a part of this. Thanks for inviting us to come to your all's golf course. Like I said, I know we're going to have a great time. I look forward to seeing you out there. And last December, in the midst of COVID, we probably shouldn't have had a tournament, but we still did because their needs were greater than ever. We were able to donate over $65,000 last one. I expect now this year, since we're coming through COVID, and hopefully CBP will open the bridge up to non-essential traffic here very soon, so we can get our Mexican buddies to come over here and join us in also, and we'll set another record this year. God is good, and I appreciate it, and I'm here for any questions you guys got for me.
Just want to thank you and Daryl for your time and for your efforts towards Index. I know over the years it's been a partnership, but we're doing our best on our side, on this side, to be there for you guys. I know Freddie's our point of contact, Fred, Luis, but know that the board is behind any efforts that you're trying to make. And sponsorship, you mentioned the sponsorship. We've been sponsors for a couple of years, but the sponsorship only does so much. It's about molding that relationship and moving forward, because at the end of the day, it's a partnership, and we need each other, and we need to make sure that your membership is being listened to. And please relay the message to your membership that the board, the bridge, the city is behind you.
We see, and it's kind of like Jerry Jones back in the air, not just talking the talk, you guys are walking the walk, and we appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Mike,
Mike.
real quick.
Sure.
I was gonna tell you, because I've known Mike 15 years. We're talking about right now, and he's a friend and like very long on the list of a client. But I was telling Mike, is there any way you can look for something to donate here on this side, maybe also in the area?
Actually, we do.
I've been telling, because we have vendors too, and I've been telling them, hey, go send something there, and they're all, hey, but it's the organizations in Reynosa side, and I think you should maybe look at something here also.
Sure.
Something here locally.
We've had over the years, we try and keep rotating about that. We've had Special Olympics in, DHR. They were the Senior Food Bank was 2 years ago. So we've tried. We exactly, and then the good news also is our local Casa de Hogares that take care of the little pobrecitos and the other side. They all are foundations in America too, in the United States. But we do try and say this is not just a Reynosa thing. This is an area thing, and we will also get plenty of I was telling Daryl and the board, because that's another thing that always comes through a foundation is the amount of help needed out there. I mean, you can turn 360 and you can find everywhere to donate, but the main thing about a foundation is bringing the recursos in and bringing money in, and again, that's the hard thing, and that's the business part of it that I try and steer to. But if you guys have any suggestions, new partnerships of people that you would like to see being at the, please bring them to me. I'll pass them to our board and your board, and we can kind of maybe add some new people out there.
Perfect. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for coming.
Daryl? He's the young guys doing the young guns doing the official index Reynosa business. They let me handle just the social responsibility now. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Freddie.
Thanks again. We've got nothing on item 4. Move on to
I'll make a
item
motion
6.
On the-
Yeah, that's it.
to,
Have to make a motion
sponsor
by
the golf tournament.
motion by Mr. Hernandez,
Second.
second by Mr. Flores. All in favor?
Aye.
Same sign, motion passes. We'll move on to item 6, adjournment. Need a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Open and second.
Motion passes.
Thank you all. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Larry, and then